I'm good too. Thank you. So, let me introduce myself. I'm from Morgan Stanley.
Okay.
So I've been working here for 7, 8 years,
Okay.
and my role is in Java.
Okay. Got it.
So, uh, can you explain about what projects you have worked on and about you?
Yeah, so basically, I'm a backend developer mostly. So I'm having around 6.10 years of experience in IT sector, and currently associated with one of the client of EY, which is Wells Fargo. So there actually I was associated with one of the project which consists of soft check deployment process. So whenever developer is committing the code change, so before actually going for deployment, it will call our endpoint to check the status based upon the vulnerability count. So if it is like zero, then only it will be allowed. Otherwise, it will be go back to developer for making the change. So for this soft check deployment, we have worked upon. And prior to that, I worked with HSBC for payment related functionalities like auto payment match and approval and acknowledging payment. So those things I worked upon. Then prior to that, I worked with CGI. So there also I worked in their product. So the tech stack which we have used are Spring Boot, Microservices, Oracle, and
Hmm.
MySQL. Yeah, so these things we have worked upon.
Okay. So you mentioned one about the project that you check the vulnerability. So how
Yes.
do you check those vulnerability?
Yeah, so for checking that vulnerability, actually, there is a separate third-party policy service repo which Wells Fargo are using. So that is SCP policy service. So they are actually going through the changes, whatever they have written the logic. So based upon that, they are posting that in the form of counts of data into database, and actually we are fetching the data based upon whatever data is present in their database, and then we are fetching the data, and after that we are seeing the count values. So whatever data they are setting it up in the database, we are
Hmm.
just fetching the data and checking like what is the count. And then based upon that, there are two segregations is there based upon the scanning. First is app adherence, and second is vulnerability scan. Vulnerability scan includes SCS scan, SAST scan, and secret scans. So there will be like individual status. It should be status as true. Okay, so if both app adherence and vulnerability is having status as true, then overall status becomes true. Then only it will be
Hmm.
allowed to go for further deployment process. So there are two things basically. One is express lane deployment, one is normal lane deployment. So if everything
Hmm.
works fine, then it goes for express lane deployment. Otherwise, it goes for normal deployment, where the developer will have to make changes in the code again so that count gets reduced, and then they will again commit the code.
Okay. So basically, your service is being called, and then you are calling another service which helps you in calculation, and then you use that data to basically return back the count, right? I mean,
Uh,
true or false, right?
no, actually, we are creating our separate endpoint actually. So there
Hmm.
is a code base for Wells Fargo. So they are calling our endpoint to get the overall status value. Based upon that, they are deciding whether to go for normal deployment or express lane deployment.
Okay. Okay. So, you mentioned about vulnerabilities and all that, right? So, how have you used Sonar or any other tool that helps in the code quality check?
Yeah, SonarCube actually plugin we are using in our IDE. So after associating that plugin, so we can see like what is the Sonar status. So it will show like which all lines we have to make changes. So based upon that, we are proceeding ahead, and we are checking the coverage as well. How much is the
Mm,
code coverage in the entire business logic which we have written. So
mm.
we try focusing upon maintaining the code coverage of 95%. So they have put it as
Mm.
90, but our focus is to keep as 95 so that it meets the target. So like that we are focusing.
So my question was, so this code quality check also tells you the vulnerability, right? Is it the same that you are calculating, or is it a different kind of vulnerability?
Uh, yeah, so basically they are actually processing the data, and then after processing, they are storing the counts basically. So we are just fetching the data from that database, whatever counts they are getting stored.
Okay, okay, got it. Okay, so since you have used Sonar, so what kind of code quality issues have you observed in Sonar?
Code quality issues means when sometimes we have to do refactoring of code Then there is like code smells happens, like when there is like leak of resources are happening, then it tells us that this particular resource is not closed. If it is not closed, a leakage may happen. So those things it tells. And with regards to null pointer exception also, it tells like if that particular object is not handled, then it will be telling that there is a chance that this particular object can throw exception, null pointer exception. So we need to go and handle that. So this kind of things are
Okay.
there. And when if there is any redundant object which is not used in the project, so that also they will be telling that if you want, you can remove that particular object if it is not used. So those things.
Okay. Okay. Have you observed that cognitive complexity issues?
Cognitive complexity. We have seen like critical severity, then medium level, then high level. So these three I have seen.
Okay. 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 So, which version of Java are you using in your project right now?
Yeah, so we have made use of Java 8 and Java 17.
Okay. So, which all features of Java 8 have you used in your project?
Yeah, so we have made use of optional class. We have made use of Lambda function, functional interface. So these things basically we have made use of. Then,
Okay. And when do you prefer using Lambda expression?
uh, see, when we need to create a functional interface which contains one abstract method to define the functionality, then with the help of Lambda function, we can point it to that. And with the help of Lambda function, actually, it reduces the boilerplate code. So number of lines get reduced and processing becomes faster because it doesn't hold a state. So the entire process gets executed at the last when it's ended with terminal operation because it's lazily loaded. So,
Okay. Okay. Have you used Stream?
yes.
Okay. Um, so when do you avoid using parallel stream?
Uh, when there is not much task to perform, like there is a few limit data sets are available for us to perform the task where all the cores of the CPU are not required to be used, then in that scenario we should go for normal stream rather than parallel stream because it increases the memory consumption and it's actually being not used. So,
Okay. Is there any other reason other than that of not using a parallel stream?
and it sometimes actually reduces the performance as well if we are combining multiple things together and then applying parallel stream. It sometimes reduces the performance as well. So,
Okay. So, okay, what if you are using a parallel stream and you are modifying the same data set? Will that also be an issue?
which data set?
For example, you have a parallel stream and you are updating data in that, and that object is being used in all the. I mean, you have a parallel stream and you are modifying the object. So, is it correct to use parallel stream, or you should not be using parallel stream?
We are modifying it again and again, so there will be a data inconsistency issues might come in by using
Hmm.
parallel stream.
Okay. Okay. Uh, what is the difference between equals method and double equals to symbol?
Actually, with the help of equal to, it checks the reference of the two objects, whereas a dot equals method, it checks the actual content of the two objects. So, what does that value contains?
Okay. Okay. Um, have you written JUnit test cases?
Yes.
Okay. So if you have to write a JUnit test case I mean for a service that actually connects to a DB, right? So how do you go forward with that?
Yeah, so there will be a repository layer. So we are actually mocking that repository in our
Mm,
test class, by using
mm,
@mock, and we are writing that repository name and the reference for that. And then we are
mm,
doing mockito.when, and then we are
mm,
writing that repository reference dot whatever method is being called with that repository reference. So that we will be
mm.
writing, and then we are using dot then return, and then we are returning the mocked object, whatever we have set it up.
Okay, got it. So basically you will mock the DB connection so that
Yes, yes,
the actual DB is not getting called, right?
yes, yes.
Okay. So for example, if you have a service which updates to database, okay, and you have to make sure that it both the database are in sync. So for example, if one of the call fails, the other should also be somehow removed. If you have two DB calls simultaneously being done, suppose you have DB1, DB2, you have updated DB1 and it was success, you're going to update the DB2, and then that time you face some error or exception. So you have to make sure the data is removed for DB1 as well. So how can you achieve that?
We can achieve this rollback feature with the help of
Mm,
transaction annotation. So we have
mm,
to see like which particular class contains those methods. So over that class we can have transaction, where within that we
mm.
can write rollback for equal to exception dot class. Then with that, if there is any exception which has been caught across other methods, so it will get rolled back to previous state.
Okay, so should you have on the rollback for you said exception does class? Should you do it for all the generic exception, or you should have a specific exception that for only that exception you should roll back?
Yeah, if it is related to database issues, then we can provide that particular exception.
Mm,
So it will handle only persistence related exceptions. It will handle that.
okay,
Or
okay.
we can put it at a method level if you want to roll back only the method related features.
Mm, okay. Have you used multi-threading in your application? I mean, are you aware about multi-threading?
Yeah, I'm aware about. I have not that much in
Okay.
depth I worked upon because it was like
Mm,
implemented and we have added some functionalities on it.
okay. So, if you don't override the run method of a thread, what will happen?
If we don't overwrite the run method, then it will not process any jobs basically. So if you are writing it elsewhere, then it will not be executed. So
So you are saying, will you get an compile time error or your code will run? My question is that will that cause any issue in compilation or
uh, yeah, it will throw it in compile time error because we have to override that run method.
okay, okay. Have you used executor framework?
Yeah,
Okay. Um, do you know what is futures?
yeah. So basically, with the help of future, if we want to store the data which is going to come in near future, not now. So in that scenario, we can make use of future. So
Mm,
we can make use of like executor service class. So executor service is equal to executors dot new fixed thread pool we can call, and then we can call a submit method. Then it will store the
mm.
data into the future object, and then we can fetch the data with help of get method, and then we can store it.
Uh, Okay, so you mentioned about submit method, right? So what is the difference between submit and execute?
Yeah, so actually submit method will return the data which is of future type, and
Mm,
execute method doesn't return anything. So if you want to fetch it there and there itself, then we can make use of execute. It's actually a void thing.
okay, okay. Can you share your screen? I mean, I'll give you one problem statement if you could write a pseudo code for that.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Okay. So suppose I have given you an array. Okay. I mean, you can take any array.
Hmm?
Just take an input as 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Okay. And you need to reverse this array. So how are you going to do that? Just write a pseudo code for that.
Okay. that we can write.
Uh, okay. So basically, you have started with the last element,
Yeah.
and you are replacing the last element.
So I have
Can you go?
taken zero.
Can you can you go over the flow? Can you explain me how it will work for the above input?
Yeah, so basically j will be 0, so it will start from last
Mm,
index. So greater
mm.
than 0 I minus 1. So it will start filling from 0th index. So whatever data will be there at 0th index will be replaced with last
Oh,
index.
okay.
So
So after the first iteration, what will be your array?
so after first iteration, it will be array at 0 will become array at I will be 3,
Mm,
3, 2, 3, like that.
yes. And after second iteration, what it will be?
I think we have to store it somewhere. Create a new array. So like this, you can make use of new array and then you can store it one by one.
Okay. So in this case, you are using a new array, right?
Yeah,
So you have you don't have a time you have what is the time complexity for this solution,
it's O of n.
and what is the space complexity?
We are creating one array, so O of n will be
Mm.
there.
Okay, so is it possible to somehow reduce the space complexity? I mean, not using a new array.
Yeah, I'm thinking something like this.
Okay. So can you go with the array and let me know how it will work? So we have array 1, 2, 3,
Mhm.
and I is
I will start from last index. So basically, we are storing the first index data 1 into a temp value. So
mm,
after that, we are storing the data which is present in array at I, which is 3.
mm,
I'm storing it in
mm,
array at j. So it will become
mm,
3. Then after that,
mm,
temp value will be stored in array at I. So array at I
mm.
will be the length minus 1. So it will store the value in the temp which was 1. So it will be getting stored over there. So it will become
Okay, so
3, it will become 1. Then again j
okay,
plus
so
1.
can you write that? So now we have array as 3, 2, 1, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, can you write that out? Huh. 3, 2, 1. Okay. So now at the next time I will be 1, right?
yeah. First
Sorry,
it
J will be 1 and I also will also be 1, right?
Yeah, now, yeah, j will be reduced, so it will be 2, yeah, 1.
1 and I will also be 1, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So then what you will do is temp of. Okay. So basically you are just replacing the same value again and again, right? Because J and I both are 1.
yeah,
Correct?
yes,
Okay. So nothing will happen in this case and then
yes,
J will be incremented to 2, right?
yes,
And I will be decremented to 0, right?
yeah,
Okay. Again the iteration will go, right? Because you are written I is greater than equal to 0, right?
yeah. So we have to add condition like if j is greater than equal to I, then we need to stop it. So as soon as j becomes greater than equal to I, we need to stop
Okay.
it.
Can you write that?
So it will be executing till j is less than I. So if j is less than I, then it will be executing like this. Else we can break it.
Okay. Okay. So okay. So let's take an input as 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now since you have only three, the middle one we already have, right? Let's do 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So J in this case will be 0 and I will be 4. I will be 3, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So now since I is less, okay, so J is less than I in that case, right?
yeah. So it will go
Okay,
to
J
this.
is less than I, it will go here and you flip it. Okay, now it will be 4, 2, 3, 1.
Yeah,
Now J will be 1 and I will be 3, 2, 2, right?
yeah,
2. So now we will swap 3, 2. Okay, so now I is, now J will become 2, right?
yeah,
And I will become 1. So 2. Okay, so now it will break. Okay, got it. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Okay, so yeah, do you know how HashMap works internally?
yes. So in HashMap, actually, we are putting the data in the form of key value pair format. So
Mm,
it actually goes to hashing functionality. So whenever we are trying to put the data, the key part goes to hashing functionality, where it generates 16-bit hash code. So
mm,
that particular 16-bit integer will not be able to direct to particular index because the size of the hash map is 16, so it lies between 0 to 15. So we need to find out a specified index lying between that. So we are doing modulus with the hash map size. So after getting the after getting the index by doing the modulus, it will point to a specified bucket as per the index value it is pointing. So data will be stored in the form of node. So node will contain the hash code value, that key, then value, then next node's address. So like that data will get stored. Then there will be multiple keys coming and data will be stored like this in a specified bucket after doing this hashing functionality. Then after that, there can be a chance of hash collision where there can be multiple keys having the same value. So in that scenario, it will point to the same index where already one node is there. So the new node will come and then it will be connected together in the form of linked list. So all nodes will be connected together in the form of linked list in that particular bucket. So like that data will be getting stored there. So yeah, so it will be getting stored, and then after reaching a particular threshold, after Java, it has been converted to a red black tree, so that time complexity gets reduced. So like
Okay,
this it
got
works.
okay, got it. Um, okay. So what are the two methods that are used in the hash map, heavily used in the hash map?
Put method, get method, then
Mm,
contains key method, then
okay. So you mentioned about put method, right?
yeah.
So how does put method work internally?
That thing I told no in internal implementation. So while putting the data, it takes the key. Then based upon the
Mm.
key, it calculates the per bucket, the index value where the data will get stored.
Uh, okay. How does it calculate the index value using which method?
Index value. So
Mm.
actually, it finds the hash code, and then we are doing modulus with the
Okay.
size of the hash code. Then it
Yeah,
finds the bucket.
correct. So basically, it uses the hash code calculation method,
Yes,
right?
yes, yeah.
Okay. So once you calculate the hash code and then you do the modulus, after that, what does it do?
After finding the value, it points to the specified bucket. So it will
Mm.
point to the index like which particular number it will go, like between 0 to
Mm.
15. So
Mm.
if it
Mm.
calculates to index value 2, so it will point to 2 second bucket like that.
Okay, so it will point to 2. Then what will happen after that? You know the bucket. So will that directly place the value or will it do something else when you do a put?
Yeah, so after doing the put value, it will check like if there is already any key present or not. So if there is no key present, so it will put the data as it is in the form of node. So it will store
Okay.
data, and then it will,
So basically, it will check. It will use a equals method to check, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Got okay. So okay. So right now you have that hash code method, right? And you said we use a modulus. So what if that hash code method returns the same value every time? So for example, it returns the first bucket all the time. So will there be any impact to the hash map?
Yeah, because whenever it returns only one value while fetching, so while
Mm.
fetching, right, while get operation. So
Mm.
yeah, so it will return the same value means it's pointing to the same bucket. So
Mm.
again and again, if it returns, then it will do more memory consumption. So uh,
How will the memory consumption be different? Because even if it is placed in different bucket, you store it as a linked list in a bucket, right?
yes.
So how will the memory be impacted here?
So let's suppose that particular node is present at the last index or
Mm.
second or third last index. So again, it will try to search till that position. So it
Yeah,
will
but
take time to reach there.
it okay. So there is time complexity, not memory, right? Memory
Yeah.
will be same, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, so I'll give you one more problem. So you're given a string. Okay. Uh, Let me give you one sample. You can take any sample string, or should I give you any?
What string?
Yeah, take a string as Happy New Year.
Okay.
Yeah. No, no space, no space. There is just continuation. Yeah. Okay. So now you have to remove the duplicates in the string. So if you see P is duplicated,
Mm-hmm.
then Y is duplicated, E is duplicated, A is duplicated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to remove that and give me a string by removing that duplicate value.
Okay. So duplicate value of that particular character only should not be present, right?
Duplicates should not be present. So first should be there. So for example,
Okay.
after you remove the duplicates, the string will be like this HA.
Okay. H A
Can you write
P
that down?
Y
E Y, correct. Then N E W Y R.
Y is already there. R.
Oh, sorry, yeah, R, yeah, correct. No, so just do one thing. You have an ear as small y, right? Just make it caps.
Like this.
Yeah. Now, Y should be there because since it is caps. NEWYR should be Y caps and then R. Yeah. Yeah. So can you write the logic for this?
Okay.
So Dipjit, instead of using stream, if you could, write a pseudo code for it, that will be great. I mean, what is the logic that you're going to write? Can you write that pseudo code?
So without using streams.
Yeah.
do something like this?
Uh, okay. So, but uh, you need to return a string, right? Where are we returning the string? I mean, you need to show, you need to have the string with
Yeah,
that character, right? Have HIP.
yeah.
What is SOP?
System dot printer is actually printing the
Oh,
keys. So we want to store it in a string and then we have to print it. Hello?
yeah. Hi, Dipsit.
Yeah, some network issue happened. Suddenly it went actually. Yeah. I'm
Okay, no, that's
sharing.
fine. Yeah. Can you share your screen? Maybe we'll go over that. Yeah. Okay. So, what I was asking was, when you do get key, are you sure that it will retain the order in which you have it in the string S?
Yeah, for that we have to make use of linked hash map basically. So we can make use of linked hash map.
Okay. So my question is that instead of using a new S, you have a new string buffer, right?
Yeah,
Is there any way to use the existing string and doing it rather than using one more variable?
this string only.
Yeah, because you're using map and then you are using another string, right? So you are using there's a memory complexity, right? So
Mhm.
space complexity basically.
Yeah.
So is it possible to reduce that and then
Okay. I'm thinking something like this.
Okay. So,
Actually,
your
increasing the counter for characters. So there may be a chance.
did not
Huh?
I did not get you. So, first you are putting all the values in the map,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then after that, you're iterating through the map, and
Yes.
then you are
H.
concatenating. That means you are adding into the exist. What is S here?
S
S
is.
str. Okay, got it, got it.
STR.
It's an str basically. Huh,
Yeah.
that's fine. So you're basically concatenating values to the
Yes.
existing one, right?
Yeah, because if we do
So
map
basically
dot
you
get
have
key, so it will be unique values. It will be there in map dot get key. So it we
no,
are
but
just
already you have the happy new, and then on that you are concatenating, right? You're not replacing it, right?
so it will concat the data. Okay. So, indexing. So if we don't do this here, and if we just calculate the character count, so the number of iteration will be there. So that many character count will come. So that will be unique, in unique characters. So if length is matching the character count, we will directly return it. Or else,
Mm-hmm.
if we are checking like if length is greater, that means character count is it is having some duplicate values. So we are doing substring 0 to character count plus 1.
Uh, but how will it work? Can you go over that string and let me know how it will work?
We need to store it in existing string basically. str. So like this we can fetch the individual characters and then we're storing it in the existing string array. So
So you are doing getting it, and then what? Okay, you're but okay. So but how do you? So you're basically replacing the values in the string, right?
yes, so it will store the unique
How will
values.
how are you sure that it will retain the occurrences? I mean, retain the flow like how we have in the S, because mp.getKey, as we discussed, it can randomly pick the value, right?
So we have made use of LinkedHashMap over here.
Okay. Okay. So basically, using that, you're completely entirely replacing the S string.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think that looks good. Yeah. Okay. Do you have any questions for me? I'm good.
Okay. So basically means what kind of projects is currently Morgan Stanley working upon?
So right now, what we are looking at for in our team is basically Java developer, and the project that is planned is on cloud. So we already have some services on the private cloud,
Mm-hmm.
not on the public cloud. So
Okay.
we have set of consumer services. I mean the services that you consume internally by another teams in Morgan.
Okay.
So these are all the consumer services that we have,
Okay.
and that are being migrated from what we have in on-premise right now
Mm-hmm.
to a private cloud. So that is the project that is there. So when you move to private cloud, there are set of other things that are required. Right? When you have it in your prime premises, there are set of other things that you have, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
get to see how it is different. And along that, we have new projects as well, other than migrating the existing one. The
Mm-hmm.
other projects are in cloud. So
Okay.
mostly the project is on cloud.
Okay. So basically, it's a long-term project, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
And other than that, our team has also other. These are all about cloud, the
Mm-hmm.
cloud migration. We have the entire team has another projects as well, which is on premises,
Okay.
and that is used by financial advisors. So those are also other projects that we have. So we have a set of projects that our team is working on currently.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Anything else?
This much only as of now. Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
This
working
much
on.
only
Yeah.
as of now.
So okay, okay, then thank you. So I think we can good to close the call. I'll share the feedback with Sunil.
Okay.
Uh,
So.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay. Thank you so much.